What up, YouTube? Um, Sitting around watching the Dallas Redskins game, and sorry, Josh, doesn't look like you're going to the playoffs this year. But I'm making a quick video for GRONKFAN87, my good buddy Mike. Um, he's having a contest giving away a sick Roddy White autograph number 5. Um, he wanted to he wanted you to construct a dream team of yours. He said 5 offensive players, 5 defensive players, a kicker, and a coach. I have 6 offensive players and 6 defensive players, so I hope that doesn't knock me out. But I couldn't decide. I could not do it. Um, I only have I have 3 Browns players, so there's a little bit of biasness. But then I have 2 Steelers. I have 2 Steeler players on my team. But they're the greatest players of all time. So um, I'm not gonna waste any more time. Quarterback, I have Otto Graham from the Cleveland Browns. He went to championship games. He went to the AFL championship game every year from 1946 to 1955. Won 7 titles for the Cleveland Browns, and he also holds the NFL record for yards per completion with 9. Greatest quarterback of all time in my opinion. Running back, I have 2 because one is technically a fullback, and if he was blocking for this guy nowadays, or when he played, who knows what would happen. My running back is Curtis Martin. I've always been a huge Curtis Martin fan. I never liked the Jets, but I always loved Curtis Martin. I love the way he ran. He always hit the hole really hard, like how running backs are supposed to do, like no running back on Cleveland does. And he's got 14,000 yards and I think it's 90 touchdowns he has. One of the best ever, in my opinion. And the fullback, the great Jim Brown. In 9 years of playing, he accumulated 12,000 plus yards and 126 touchdowns. In 9 years. Imagine if he would have played as long as some of these other guys. Like, some running backs played, or Emmitt Smith played like 18 years. Imagine if he played that long. What that would have done. Wide receivers, see my team, I try to pick guys who other guys aren't picking to make it interesting. That's what whenever I do these ultimate teams, I always try to pick guys that other people aren't. And Dwayne Harris, ooh, flag. Dwayne Harris just got dragged down by something. That was nasty. Um, Anywho, back to my wide receivers. I have the big play wide receiver, and then I have my reception wide receiver. Chris Carter for my big play threat. 130 touchdowns in his day. That's 4th all time, I believe. And then my second receiver, my receiving, when I need a 3rd down conversion, Torrey Holt. Torrey Holt played 10 years and is 14th on the reception list. He only played 10 years. If he played as long as Jerry Rice, he'd be up there with Jerry Rice. Torrey Holt was phenomenal. Tight end, a little bit of biasness again, because he went to school a half hour away from me. I picked Antonio Gates. He went to Kent State. 640 receptions, over 8,000 yards, and has 82 touchdowns for his career. I think he would be way up higher than that if he wasn't plagued with injuries his whole career so far. Defense, I have 2 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and 2 defensive backs. My defensive linemen, my defensive linemen are Warren Sapp, 96.5 sacks, just an absolute monster in the gridiron, in the trenches. And my defensive end is Bruce Smith, 1,200 plus tackles, 200 sacks, greatest defensive end in my opinion of all time. Linebackers, mine are dirty. You don't want to go up against my linebackers. Period. They're the nastiest human beings on the planet. Chuck Bednarik. greatest linebacker of all time, in my opinion. The level of just violence that he played with and during his time was never seen before. I mean, they say a lot of guys who played football back then, like the 40s, 50s, and the 60s, wouldn't make it today. Chuck Van would make it today. Like I said, the violence and how hard he played, nobody comes close to him. Secondly is Jack Lambert, Mr. Tooth. Um, what can you say about Jack Lambert? He was a mean, mean person, and everybody loved him. So Chuck Van and Jack Lambert. My defensive backs, Champ Bailey. Can't go wrong with Champ Bailey. There's a lot of good options at cornerback, but I went with Champ Bailey. And then I have a safety. One of my favorite players growing up, I chose Weapon X, Brian Dawkins. I loved Brian Dawkins when I was a kid. So I picked Brian Dawkins. My kicker, I picked him because he has been my team for as long as I can remember. He's kept us in so many games. He's scored our only points many games. And I went with Money Phil Dawson. Being a Cleveland fan, you have to pick Money Phil because it's Phil Dawson. And coach, I went with Bill Cowher only because I've witnessed him kick my team's ass for so many years. You had to, I had to go with Bill Cowher. I had to. There was no question. So that is my team. Otto Graham, Curtis Martin, Jim Brown, Chris Carter, Torrey Holt, Antonio Gates, Warren Sapp, Bruce Smith, Chuck Van Jack Lambert, Champ Bailey, Brian Dawkins, Phil Dawson, and Bill Cowher. Thank you for the contest, Gronk, Mike, Rizzo. Fantastic tuber. Video's a little bit longer, so my apologies. And I'm gonna go watch this and hope Dallas comes back and Tony Romo just threw a touchdown. Yay!